description. But today, I'm gonna do something that I rarely do, which is make you a promise. If you execute, implement, and embrace these 10 tips into your life, you're gonna be the most alpha dude that you know. You're gonna kick some serious alpha ass. Got it? Get it? Let's go. Tip number 1.
How about new?
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I've been waiting to do this kind of video for quite a while, and I've only just mentioned it in passing, but I really do want to expound on this topic. And I'm still just gonna be ranting in the sense, but it's gonna be a more coherent rant because I'm gonna actually bring up examples of what actual high value men are. And I'm gonna put conditions to it as well, because a lot of the utter garbage that is sold to men and boys now, like literally, like the starting video I showed, the guy's YouTube channel is literally called Alpha M. And like it's just the most comical fucking shit. Like, good on him for, getting his subscribers, getting hella money for it, whatever, it's the system we live in, right? But if you put this guy in front of any of the guys that I'm going to talk about in this video, and you heck, you just tell him to take his own advice, I'm guarantee you he will piss himself. He will shit him. He will just empty. He will void his bowels like in 2 seconds. Because to me, a high value man, as demonstrated by history and the modern day, is always going to be a man who has 3 main attributes. Number 1, he is above the law. And I'll go into it with some examples. Number 2, he takes what he wants, when he wants, without consequence. Sounds like number 1, but it's really not. There's overlap, let me say. Number 3, they either are immensely wealthy or have connections and are able to manipulate the ultra wealthy. Those 3 main attributes are what make a high value man. And the reason why we're seeing so many people discuss it and, bringing up alpha males and all this kind of stuff, especially nowadays, like, it's a marketing tactic, obviously. And marketing is psychology based primarily, right? So you're basically selling somebody's dreams back to them, right? And, like on my channel, I've talked about how modern women act. So I also like to discuss what modern men think they are as well. You gotta keep it gender neutral, or all the basically. If some feminist or something ever stumbles on my channel, I hope they know first and foremost, like, this right here will never be a safe space for a feminist. Second of all, I really don't even ascribe to any sort of side or ideology. Like, humans are just pieces of shit, and they have proven themselves time and time again. So hopefully in me covering this, I can give a both sides approach to it, I guess, in this sense, right? Because if not, I'm sure the usual shaming tactics would commence.
Nah, bro, that's still gay. No, you're gay. He's gay. I'm not gay. He's gay.
And I find because I don't have any real loyalties to any sort of ideology, not even necessarily antinatalism, to be honest. Yes, I talk about it. Yes, I advocate for the position, I would say. However, uh, it's more about my own principles and how I try to reflect it. And I do consider myself somewhat of an iconoclast, somewhat, right? Like, I know it sounds refined and sophisticated and all that, but for me, I don't participate in things that I find very stupid, and I find a lot of shit stupid. So, uh, I like once you fight off that urge for conformity, like, yeah, sure. The thing is, people will look at you just the same way they did before, but this time they'll envy you even more for being able to just live as you are, right? So, let me begin with this piece of shit, Christopher Columbus. The fact that this guy, Columbus Day, I was looking this up when I was literally just looking up pictures uh, for the video, and then I found out that Columbus Day isn't even that old in U.S. history. It was instituted in no, it was signed. It was instituted. I don't know what the fuck is the word. It was signed into law as a national holiday in 1937 because Catholics wanted a national hero or something, some stupid shit like that. Yeah, and they chose this fuckhead. They literally chose just to explain, right? This guy, when he got back to Spain after the third time, I think it was the third trip back from the Americas or something, he was stripped of his titles and he was imprisoned. And he was later let out by the next piece of shit I'm going to talk about. And one of the reports was that his the workers under him, yeah, his shipmen or whatever, basically, they reported that this guy was so fucking brutal to Native Americans, unbelievably brutal in the things that he engaged in. I think there were other more material reasons why they removed him, but that was often a complaint brought up, that he was just that brutal. So this guy, and from the point where he had his title stripped, he spent the remainder of his life bitching and moaning about how much he deserved to be given in terms of I guess monetary value or whatever. He kept advocating he wanted more and more and more and more and more, and it's like, dude, you work for the king, right? So even though he was in prison, he was let out. He was pardoned, right? So he was, I wouldn't say necessarily above the law, but he was kind of, right? And then he wasn't, the thing is, he wasn't insanely rich. And what was the last one I said? Oh yeah, taking what he wants when he wants. Yeah, he was, it was just sheer brutality, just killing indiscriminately, just taking, basically taking Native American women for himself, if you know what I mean. And even after all that, and these are recorded history from his time, right? Somehow he still has a cult following. People, oh, that's another one. People, which is a fourth, you will have an undying fan base. An undying fan base, right? Even when you're in the wrong, you will have a cult following, right? Which is what he has. So I don't even want to waste too many words on him, because this guy, this fucker, King Ferdinand the First, or whatever, yeah, King Ferdinand, right? Let's just call him that. This guy is the one who tasked Christopher Columbus with finding a a new route to India, right? Because this was during this was during the spice trade, essentially. And the reason they did that, the reason he told him to go find a new route to India, is because the Ottoman Empire at the time ended the Byzantine sort of Roman Empire, right? They literally they defeated them, took control over the Eastern Mediterranean, like the part where they would wait, was it? Is that? Yeah, basically, yeah. Sorry, I messed up. So they would trade with the Byzantine Empire because, like, they're part of the same sort of contiguous historical area. But once the Ottomans came in, and they imposed hella taxes on them, so they wanted to find a new route to India to trade directly with the Indians. Then they discovered America, right? But anyways, I digress. So this guy, just look up the Spanish Inquisition. This guy was the spearheader of, like, one of the most brutal campaigns in European history. This guy was a absolute fucking tyrant. Absolute tyrant. The thing is, even if you were a Catholic king, you still had to liaise with the Pope. You still had to sort of consider the Pope's opinions, right? This guy was able to bypass that. He instituted just like, and the fucked up thing, like, what he instituted just so happened to coincide with the discovery of the Americas. So his level of brutality was able to expand across the fucking world. Coincidentally, like that. What a shitty time it was, But he was a king, right? A true able to lay claim to the throne kind of king. And he literally had half the world to himself. He was the closest thing to God that people had at that time. And yet, he brutally murdered whichever demographic it was he saw fit to murder. Whatever orders it was, people would take, because that was simply his prerogative. If you want to talk about high value men and you don't talk about guys like this, you're doing people an incredibly fucking huge disservice, right? The thing is, you can't even talk about these guys as high value men or alpha males, right? Even though I guess they could fit that. The thing is that no, they can't actually, right? These are monarchs. These are hereditary monarchs. Hereditary absolute monarchs. My last video was about how people are calling each other king and queen. Well, this guy was unambiguously the king. And people halfway across the world knew that he was the king. Still a massive piece of shit, though. And while we're on the topic of popes, hoo boy, this guy is known as the Devil Pope. Literally, the Devil Pope, right? Pope Alexander VI. But his real name is Rodrigo Borgia, right? If you've ever played Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, this is literally the family that was based. They based it, the family is real, right? And this was their patriarch. This guy did so much just This is how you know the Abrahamic God either doesn't exist or is an evil fucking demon. Because this guy was able to get away with so much fucking pure evil. It's unbelievable that the institution of the papacy still stands today, and they're still just pushing on with the same kind of just literal evil that this guy was able to commit. Like, for instance, he was accused of corruption, incest, prostitution, murder, like literally all of the fucked up shit you could come up with. He was literally accused of that, all that stuff, and there was there was very credible evidence to a lot of the claims. Not to mention that he was the head of the church, the Catholic Church at that time, right? People could see the hypocrisy plain as day, and yet their predisposition to being a sheep, right? Their predisposition to being a sheep was just too extraordinary for them to do anything about it. You clearly see this guy is a massive fucking hypocrite. And yet nobody had the power to stop him. No one. Not even God. That's the funny thing. I should probably add above God in that, in that list, right? This guy was above God, basically. This just goes to show the law is only for poor people, right? I'm not telling you to not follow the law. I'm telling you the law is for poor people. And it's just plain fact. Oh, have you ever heard the term Banana Republic? It's because of these two guys right here. These two guys, Minor Keith and whatever his name is. I'll put the names up. These guys were responsible for the creation of United Fruit Company. And the United Fruit Company essentially controlled a good portion of South American countries' economies. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. The term Banana Republic comes from this company because literally they're one of these guys had a banana trading business or was engaged in banana trading, and then they merged the company and then it became one big company. And they used a lot of South American countries to literally farm banana. Like they would go in, bribe the government, kick off citizens off their lands, and just plant banana. Like literally just extract the country for everything it was worth, and then send the profits back to the US. This one company by its fucking self. Could you imagine having the power to tell presidents of different countries, and you yourself are not a president, but you have the power to tell presidents of different countries how their economy is going to play out according to your demands? How many of these fucking alpha male YouTubers are out here telling guys like, yeah, if you want to be a high value man, basically be a CEO and be able to topple governments? None of them are saying that. And it's no wonder why, because they'll never make it. They know they will never be able to do stuff. And don't be confused, right? People who ascribe to like an alpha male mindset, they are constantly looking for that validation. And if they can't get it, they'll redefine what it means to be an alpha male. But here I am telling you that you can redefine whatever the fuck it is, however the fuck you want. But this is the face of, if you even want to talk about high value men, these are guys who have toppled governments. These are guys who have bullied governments, right? These are guys who had money that, like, I mean, what kind of money would somebody who is able to topple governments even be said to have, right? If you hold the power of a country's economy in your hands, what kind of money? Like, literally, you just make money. You are money. You essentially are money, right? Being a high value man, your value is it's decided. And it's so funny because, like, I see a lot of in this discourse about, like, oh, men versus women, like, women are born with value, men have to earn it. High value men are born with their value. High value men are born with their fucking value. And I don't think there's any better example of high value men than these fucks right here. Right? There's no better example of high value men than these guys. Trump, at the very least, was born into wealth, but Jeffrey Epstein, I'm not quite sure. I haven't really, the thing is, knowing what most people know about Epstein right now, I don't really think they care too much about how he was able to. Okay, yeah, I mean, they do care about how he was able to get to the point where he was at, but at the same time, oh, okay, yeah, his mom was his mom was like a school aide, and his dad was like a groundskeeper. So yeah, he wasn't born rich. Trump was born rich, but even then, somehow these guys found their way to each other. We know what Jeffrey Epstein did, right? I hope I don't need to go into it because I really don't like talking about that shit a lot. But yet, this guy was known for doing the kind of child trafficking that he did. And he was shaking hands and greeting literal presidents, future presidents, obviously, as you can see, movie stars, like just everywhere a starstruck person would want to enter into, he was in the VIP section of that place. And yet, he was a pedophile. A massive one at that. And that's the thing that I see a lot of people do not bring up about I just say high value men because when I talk about I mean the kind of guys that I've mentioned. I don't mean fucking Andrew Tate or I don't know who's another, Jordan Peterson, I guess. I don't know. Like, I mean, Andrew Tate is relatively recent in this online sphere anyways. But when I said high value men take what they want when they want, I was talking about guys like Jeffrey Epstein. Or people like Prince Andrew, the Queen's son, has the same kinds of charges as Jeffrey Epstein. And I think I was watching a documentary about Prince Andrew, and pretty much from birth, he was just a piece of shit, pretty much. Like, he was just one of those shitty ass kids. But of course he was going to be. Like, he was just I need this now, you're gonna give this to me now, blah, 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 I need it now, I have to have it now, right? And look at the monster it created. Above the law, insanely rich, take what they want when they want, and a cult following. People don't want to talk about the disgusting side of, like, the thing is, you are not a high value man until you're able to do these kinds of things. Which is crazy as to why so many men right now think that they can attain this kind of status. In fact, Lucky Luciano is probably even like the most quintessential example of what I mean. This guy is known as the father of um, the founder of the National Crime Syndicate, was it? Yeah. Yeah, sorry. He was the founder, he was the father of American organized crime. Do you know how fucking crazy you have to be to, do you know how like just over the top you have to be to to have that kind of label put on you? The father of organized crime in America. The existence of America is a crime itself, a literal fucking crime against humanity itself. And this guy was the father of organized crime. In fact, I think he got arrested at some point. Like he was able to dodge arrest, but he ended up being arrested at some point. But then, after a while, he was let go because he complied with the government. I think it was during the World War II. He complied with the government, and they let him go. They deported him back to Italy, but they let him go. He of course, which goes to show you the father of organized crime in America was able to walk free even after being arrested. Above the law. Above the law. Right? You're either above the law or you define the law. And this guy is probably the best example of defining the law. Cecil Rhodes. I don't know, in your history books, in your high school history books, if you ever saw this cartoon, but I'm definitely sure you have. If you ever have, the guy is Cecil Rhodes, right? He's literally standing on Africa from Cape Town to Cairo in Egypt, because that is where the British Empire stretched, and he was the symbol. He was the symbol of British imperialism in Africa, so much so that he had like he had his own country named after him, Rhodesia. I think he started the De Beers Diamond Company, like he co-founded it with some I don't know, some fuck. I need to like brush up on this shit. Like it gets tedious. But this guy was like, this guy just grew up, saw Africa, and is like, yeah, I'm gonna have it all. And I mean, really, he literally went and did it. I think two different countries, like modern day Zimbabwe, Zambia, I think Botswana. No, not Botswana. But there were like three modern day countries that were all under Rhodesia at some point, either called Southern or Northern Rhodesia. And when a country is named after you, I don't know how much more high value it can get. To be illustrated in an art piece, in a cartoon, in a media cartoon like this, it meant you had that extent of power. These are the kinds of men who embodied power, right? When you want to talk about high value men and you think you're even 1% close to being one, I suggest you look through this list and pick one you want to imitate, maybe. Not on my command, though, right? This is the list of what, like, these guys are even just, they're historically, they're men who define history in one way or another, right? And the vast majority of you, us men, will never be anywhere close to this. So, yeah, that was kind of it. It really made me realize just how deluded a lot of guys are in thinking, like, even if they, some of them, they don't even claim patriarchy like that. And if they do, they're very idiotic about it, because the thing is, you don't decide whether you're a patriarch or not. The patriarchy decides that, right? That's the craziest part about it all. The patriarchy decides who a patriarch is and who is not. You're free to say, I am a patriarch, I believe in patriarchy, oh, I'm the patriarch in my house. Okay. But at the end of the day, if police officers or soldiers bust in through your door and stick a gun in your face and just take your kids and leave, what power of patriarchy are you going to invoke then? That is my point.